Welcome to the Obstacle Dominator podcast, the show for athletes who want to become their best and inspire others in the process. Here we're going to dive deep into training tactics, race strategy, nutrition, mindset, and everything required to dominate the course and your life. Whether you're tackling your first race or already standing on podiums, this is where you can level up. There is always room for improvement, and it is time to push through those barriers and step it up a level, breaking both the physical and the mental walls to keep progressing. I'm your host, Matt Roberts, OCR athlete, coach, and guide to those committed to becoming healthier, happier, stronger, faster, to maximize their human potential now and always. I'll also be joined by the coaching team who are walking the walk, competing, staying current, and holding themselves to excellence. They are leading by example to inspire others to rise. We also bring on guest speakers who share real stories, real lessons, and proven methods that deliver results in performance, health, and mindset. Let us begin.
Yo, how we doing, Mitch?
Yeah, I'm very good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, good. I feel like I haven't chatted to you on the phone for a while.
Yeah, it has been some time.
The beard and the tash is coming back as well. It's like it's been kept on from November.
Yeah, so the beard's going to be going. I don't like the beard. I go too scruffy, but the tash, I'm throwing it back to the 80s. Wait till next year, this time next year. This is going to be a bad boy. It'll be twirling and everything.
I've actually, it's an interesting one. We talk about this because I'm actually like leaving my hair to grow, and it's actually really into it because I just had this like resistance to like get my hair cut, and I was like, why is that? Normally I always have the short back and sides and the beard's nice and trim and whatnot. And then I was like really reflecting on different stages of life. And when I was a kid, just had the usual kid haircut. When I was a teen, I had like hair almost down to my shoulders. Obviously I had no facial hair then. And then when I joined the military, skinhead. So skinhead for like 7 months, maybe a little bit more, going into one of the tour, maybe a year. And then typical military short back and sides, which I've had up until this point. But then it's like, okay, actually I left for a beard because I could, whereas I couldn't do that previously. And then now, 5 years on, it's like, I don't need to have the short back and sides. And then it's kind of like really feeling into, okay, well, I'll just let my hair grow and see what happens. But it was funny the other day, I went to the barber and he's like, you've got to get through this scruffy period. And I got like this scruff here. So that's kind of where you're at as well. So the reason I mentioned that is because it's like, if you want the beard, go through the scruffiness. Because I'm going to have to go through kind of like the weird shaped head and hair for a while, I think.
I don't know how you do it, honestly. I really don't. I can't stand long hair. It feels like I've got a mop on my head, and I overheat as well. It's why I've always gone short, because I just overheat very quickly. But yeah, fair play to you for going through it. I'm excited to see what the outcome is going to be. You're gonna let the beard just come all the way down here? You're gonna like start braiding it? Like what's the plan with that?
No idea, really. Yeah, just seeing how it unfolds, really, and go from there. But yeah, just grow it. It's funny because looking at the girls, you say when it gets scruffy and gets in the way and that. I think that's a good practice as well. Because I mean, I was looking at the girls and like my daughter yesterday, and she had it like in her face, and that was like that really fucking pissed me off, like and irritate me. But for them, it doesn't. So I also see it as part of like a practice, really, to go through an uncomfortable stage, be uncomfortable with it, be irritated by it. And it's something we practice in other aspects, like you sat in the sauna and sweat's dripping down you, but you're meditating and you keep in frame, or you're doing a race and you're in the pain cave, but you keep in focus and remaining present and focused. So I think it's just a process, an identity shift and what I'm stepping into. And it was really fascinating, actually, when I was in Peru. One of the guys that was there, he turned up to the event like clean shaven, and I was like, what the fuck? And I met him a year before, and he had this massive beard, long hair, looked like a pirate, really cool guy. And then when I saw him, I was like, what happened, dude? Like, why did you shave? And then he went into the backstory about it, and basically he was in a relationship, and this woman was like, "You've got some like negative energy around your facial hair." And he was like, "What?" And he was like really offended by it, because it's like, this is my beard. Like, if someone told me to cut my beard off, I'd be like, "Fuck no!" Like, have you seen the pictures of me when I was a baby face? Not going back there. But anyway, he felt into it and went clean shaven and felt really, really renewed. But it was interesting over the few weeks that I was in Peru with him, because he stepped back into this masculine environment, being around like the team. His facial hair started to come back, and he started to grow it. So it's kind of like old identity, the cleansing, and then the renewal, the new identity. And if you think about it, like, how many times have you looked at, I don't know, photos or past versions of yourself, and you're like, fucking, what was I thinking? That is
Yeah.
no longer you. That's an old version of yourself, and we're forever changing if we allow it. But then equally, there can be people stuck in the patterns and not willing to change through discomfort or judgment, or the way they perceive themselves or feel other people perceive themselves. Whereas it's just should be like, go with the flow, surrender, fuck it, see what happens. If you don't like it, what's the worst that happened? Change it again,
Yeah.
rather than stagnating.
Yeah, it's really like when you look at your past selves, that identity, you're always changing. I remember I used to have stretchers. I used to have my tongue pierced. Like when I was rebellious and I was off the rails, I remember I used to walk around and I had a pill as a tongue bar. And it was like, everyone was like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, that's who I was back then, but that's not me now. And you do notice it over time. But again, like you mentioned, it's allowing yourself to surrender and going through that uncomfortable transition and changes. And if we look at the season that we're in right now, for a lot of athletes, it's an uncomfortable season. Like, it is not the season people want to be training in, because it's cold, it's wet, it's dark. It's not a nice season at all. But this is a season that can really test your character and help you understand yourself more, whether you're learning lessons, whether you're making mistakes, whether you're growing. Like, there's a lot of knowledge and wisdom to be gained from this season, and it's all a learning curve. And the only way I look at it, and this is what I've been telling myself recently, because I've been rushing my routine, I've been trying to change everything, especially with some of the goals I've got set, and nothing's working at the moment properly for me. And I'm like, one, I need to chill the fuck out, slow down, okay? Like, it's okay to slow down in this time of period, because that's how the body works, that's how biology works in the seasons and the cycles that we're going through within this period. But I always remember when we start weapons training, you haven't got a clue what that weapon is to begin with. You know the name of it, but you are taught. It is broken down. You then tested on it. You fail. Okay, let's go again. And over time, throughout your career, your drills become better because it is repetition. It is consistent action. So you start off not having a clue what it is, how it works, how to strip it apart, what the drills are. And then over time, over months and years of constantly repeating it, you thrive with it, and it becomes like your baby in a way. And that's how I'm treating life and my goals at the moment. Because one thing I've recognized within myself, especially this winter period, is I'm rushing things and I'm wanting the results there and then. But right now, there's been a lot of big changes this past year, and there's more changes happening in my life right now. So slow it down and let's see what we can maneuver and what I can flow with.
And this is a really powerful and important mindset, not just for here and now, and understanding that this process is always going to be something we're working on or working through, and the way that that looks may be slightly different now to how it has in the past, and certainly it will do in the future, because like we said, we're forever evolving, we're forever changing. And if we have resistance to that, that's when things can go wrong or spiral, or we can put pressure on ourselves because we've got expectations. So it's removing those expectations and really thinking and acting in a way that is going to build yourself, your confidence, and allow you to progress. I'll share a little story. So at the weekend, my my power steering on my van went, which later led to the van not starting, and it was really fascinating. I was with my daughter, and we're sat in the van, and she really wanted to come to the gym and come train with me, and we broke down like 15 minutes away from where the gym is. And anyway, she was like, "Oh, I really wanted to go to the gym, and I wanted to do this." It's like, okay, well, so do I. Like, and that's still a possibility. Let's just sit here and let's look into the options of what we have right now, and let's start taking action on it. And she's like, okay. And a little while later, she was like, "Oh, I'm just really bored. I just really want to go to the gym. I don't want to be stuck here." I was like, "Okay, well, let's think about this. Like, what you're currently operating from is a lack mindset. You're looking at all the things that aren't working for you and for us right now, versus let's just stop, let's just pause, let's have a look around us right now. Okay, let's think about it." And we was like, okay, let's start reeling the things off. Okay, one, we're parked up in a place that is safe. Tick. Two, we have water. Two, we have food. Three, we have warmth. Five, we have comfort. You've got electrics. You're watching some YouTube documentary on something you're fascinated by. And also the recovery is coming out for us. And we went through this whole list of things, and I was like, this is positive reframing. This is an abundance mindset. And if we do the opposite of that, we're calling in and attracting all the negative situations and whatever else, such as, oh, the fixed, and oh, we're going to be stranded here all night, and blah blah blah. Versus, okay, where are we at? Think positively, think constructively, take the actions, and remain positive. And that's what we've done. And it was like, boom, sorted, moved past it, went to the gym, achieved everything else we wanted to do in the day. Versus what a lot of us do is go, oh, one thing's not working, let's catastrophize and let's go on this downward spiral, and that's it. And then let it affect our mindset, our day, and whatever else. And this is a very, very common thing for most people as well. If you plan to train in a particular point in the day, but then a curveball comes in, it can be very derailing, and will be very derailing if we allow it to. But this is something we personally do ourselves and coach people around. It's like, okay, so what? Accept it. When's the next opportunity you can do this? You've been presented with a challenge, with a problem, so reframe, find the solution, move towards it, move through it, come out the other side. And if you need to change days or whatever, versus having this deconstructive mindset where we're working against ourselves. It's all about building it up. And when we're talking about that and elaborating on from what you were saying with like weapons training in the military, like especially in the infantry, I mean, there's a lot of weapon systems that you have to get trained on. And when you first start with the rifle is probably one of the most complex weapon systems within the British Army because of the amount of components. But once you learn the functionality of a weapon system, and like we saw in America, like we was in America a couple of months ago and went to a shooting range, and it's like picking up weapon systems that are like 60 years old, some that are a number of years old, pistols, rifles, and it's like once you know the mechanics of one thing, you can apply that to different things. So it's like these translatable skills, and this is what we're talking about with the mindset piece as well. Is like it doesn't matter what happens like in your life. It could be, oh, I'm growing my long hair and it's pissing me off, or it could be, oh, I'm struggling to do my training, or I'm struggling to do my nutrition, or I've got some personal stuff going on, or I'm not sleeping correctly. Whatever. If you practice stillness in the sauna where that sweat is dripping down your head, when you're in the back end of an interval training session, you've got to push to hit the numbers and hit the energy system. That mindset, that practice translates over to that. And exactly the same of, okay, well, I'm pushing hard on the track or on the treadmill. I need to get to bed at 10:30 at night. It translates over to that, and so on and so forth. So building habit in a small, progressive, consistent way over time compounds and leads to a big result in that. And often that can be the keystone habit in which you can branch out to focusing on other aspects. And often that's probably the best thing to do. And this is where we've personally fell short in the past. And and constantly you can be tempted to do it. And like you were saying about various things you're going through, it's like, oh, I'm going to do a bit of this and I'm going to do a bit of that, and before 10% in every area, which is great. Over 10 years, you'll make an impact, but we want to make an impact now. So if we're to do that, what do? We double our efforts down on the one thing that is really, really going to move the needle. So for you guys, it's identifying what that is. All right. But through time and with repetition, that builds and that formulates habit. And this is why a lot of people within the sport we do is they'll panic train. They try and cram everything in as quick as possible. They'll set all these goals for the next 12 months. Like, I want to be the national champion. It's like, how many years have you been competing? Oh, only a year. This is my first season. Is it realistic? Yes. Is it achievable? Yes. But what we've typically seen in ourselves, and I don't know, out of all the people we've coached, it can take between sort of 2 and 3 years to really win a championship. Just because it comes down to the daily actions, the daily routines, the consistency, the showing up, the learning, and the understanding and unfolding. But this isn't just about physical excellence. This is about creating a lifestyle that builds the foundation that everything else is built upon. So it's not just about, hey, we're standing on a podium, we've got this nice triangle, great. When you actually look within that and the lifestyles people have built, that's really the beautiful thing. And when you stood on that podium with that medal, that's actually a display of everything they've achieved in their life, not just in that competitive race season or those individual races.
And I think one of the key things there is the journey that every individual goes through to get the results that they are after. If you look at everyone that's achieved something, if you look at Olympic gold medalists, silver medalists, bronze medalists, if you look at those that have achieved the goals that they set, Usain Bolt set the world record. But how long was he training just to run for those 9 seconds? It was 9-10 years of consistent action. He had injuries. There was times where he would be out partying, enjoying himself, but it took 9 years to set a world record. 9 years is what it took him. So if we look at our own journeys, I think a lot of us, or only a select few, actually enjoy and respect the journey. And when we look at our own specific journeys we've gone through, we've fought through injuries, we've fought through hardships, we've gone through weeks where training has been inconsistent, we've gone through times where nutrition hasn't been the best, we've gone through times where sleep hasn't been consistent. Like, this is all part of the journey, and it helps you understand. You make that tiny little mistake. Okay, where did I go wrong? Okay, how can I improve on that? Not making it perfect, but how can I improve on that just by that little fraction to help me get closer, to help me take the small steps? Because that is a small step. And the more small steps you take towards the goals that you've set, whether that's setting a 5K PB, whether that's winning a championship title, those small steps are going to get you there. Even if it's getting a new job, to get what you want, you've got to take small, consistent steps every day. They don't have to be big. And that's where we can go wrong. And it's where I've gone wrong these past few months, past few weeks. And I'll hold my hands up. My training hasn't been the best. I've been inconsistent. My sleep hasn't been the best. But the one thing that I've done every day is make sure that I've got outside and I've moved. Like, doesn't matter what, I've made sure, right, I need to move. Luckily, and I'm thankful, I have the dog as well. So I have to get outside, no matter whether it's raining, snowing, doesn't matter. I have to be outside. Okay. If I'm not able to get my threshold runs in, right, I'll do some sprints with the dogs. Let's wind him up a little bit on his walk. Right, couple of sprints. Yes, it's not a full solid training session. I'm probably not going to get the full benefits. But right now, my goals aren't about chasing championship titles or anything. I've got bigger fish to fry. But also, with those bigger goals, it's becoming a better man, but also a better athlete and also a better coach as well. Like, constantly striving to be a better individual. Because the medals and the t-shirts, yes, they're nice, but I look back at it and I'm like, the journey was better because I fucked up so many times. And I'm so fucking grateful for that and for those experiences, because it's helped me become who I am today. And any obstacles that I've faced that in the past, when I encounter them now, I know how to deal with them a lot better. To give you an example, I know coming away from training, when we was in the Lake District and the van broke down, yes, I was frustrated. Yes, there was panic there. I was nervous. I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. But it was like we had that community there and we resolved it. The other week, the EGR valve needed doing on the van, and I fixed it myself. And it was like, normally when things like that happen, I get frustrated because I'm like, right, I now need to fucking fix this. Or how am I going to be able to afford to get that? But it's like, you find a way to do it. And then once you do, it's like, well, actually, I don't need to stress. And it's having that abundance mindset. Yes, the vans may break down. Yes, okay, sometimes you may need to move houses. Yes, you may not get that championship title. However, there's a lesson within that, and there's also wins within them as well.
Yeah, so much gold and so many paths we can take with that. And it reminds me of a couple of things. And it's first is antifragility. And what antifragility really is much like Rocky Balboa talks about. Yeah, you get hit, you go down, you stand up, you get hit again, you take one step forward, but you keep advancing. So no matter what gets thrown your way, you're always advancing. And that doesn't always mean that you're taking steps forward, but you're reducing the amount of steps that are taken back. So it's removing the expectation that things are always going to be plain sailing or linear or an upward trajectory, and understanding you have to go with the ebbs and flows of life. Sometimes you're going to be able to prioritize a lot of training. Sometimes life is going to get in the way and your priorities lay with something else. And this is a really important thing. It's understanding minimal effective dose training. And this is literally all I'm doing at the moment. I could do far more training if I really wanted to, but it falls onto, okay, do I need to right now? Am I progressing with my training? Yes. Am I enjoying what I'm doing? Yes. So really, really important. But what does this also free up time for me to do? Have fun, enjoy life, explore other things. At the moment, I'm learning more on guitar. I'm working on vocals. I'm learning Spanish, to name a few things. I'm planning lots of things behind the thing. I'm not just the athlete. Yeah. So this is what we want to do to fully embody the human experience. Yeah, not just I'm the athlete and putting your Instagram tag as something or other OCR. Like, great, it's actually quite limiting. Yeah, it's great that you love the sport, but if you really dig into it and prioritize and balance things out, you can be so much more than that, and you are so much more than that. And also, going on to what you were saying about Usain Bolt or any athlete, really, there is no such thing as an overnight success. All these people have done over many, many years, and like Mitch mentioned, 9 years for him. Actually, we see it time and time again. About 10 years it takes for people to truly, really step into that and have world-class performance. So if they understand that and they're embodying that and applying that consistently over many years, what lessons can we draw from that, and how can we be more present and patient with our own processes? But also part of this is actually having a plan. We find people are too willy-nilly. The amount of people that I speak to that are doing like a 6-day-a-week bodybuilder split, but they're training for a Spartan Beast, it's like, okay, where's your cardio? Are you doing any running? Nah, I'm going to do that 6 weeks before. It's like, holy cow, like what?
Yeah.
It's too much. So it's having a plan. It's seeing what you need to apply that plan in the correct way, having enjoyment and balance in other aspects, and often that comes down to the minimal effective dose training, which gives maximum results in that particular area. And the reason that does is because you can hit those numbers consistently over time. But also we want to set the bar high, yeah, and then bracket that. So we've got this middle ground of goals. So if you strive for the top end and you hit that, great. If you strive for the top end and fall short, great. You've still achieving and moving forward, and that's the important thing. And like I said, with my training at the moment, I'll explain a little bit on that. I'm doing 45 minutes on the bike twice a week. My long run is only 90 minutes, and then I've got a couple of intensity sessions in there. The average weekly mileage I'm doing at the moment is about 36 kilometers. I know people that are age group racers that are doing 60, 80 kilometers per week. Okay. So have a think about that. If your mileage is super high and you've got all this intensity in it and you get into the end of the week and you're beating up and you're like, I wonder why I'm not improving. Well, too much intensity, too much frequency behind that, probably too much volume. And then that's out of balance with your sleep, your nourishment, and really the overall rest and recovery. So think of it this way. What is the least amount I can do to progress? Because ultimately, like, I know I've explained this to you before, Mitch. When I used to be a personal trainer in the gym, I used to explain it this way for people that just like to build their biceps. I was like, look at this rack of, yeah, you got 2 kilos all the way up to 40 kilos. At the moment, you're coming in here and trying to lift 35 kilos. What about all of these other weights below that that you could really work on and perfect and take your time moving through? Oh, yeah, but that's not where I want to be. I want to be strong now. It's like, well, I can give you an effective workout with those 2 kilo dumbbells if you really want. And then when you take them back to that and they're like sweating, these big muscular men, you're like, whoa, okay, well, actually, imagine your lifetime progress and the benefits that will come if you actually utilize the tools before that, and how much growth you would have over the long term. But this is it. This is where the ego comes into play. And I see plenty of people ego lifting. It's like, how much can I lift straight away? And it's like, okay, well, there's a lot to consider with that. Yeah, you're going to get strong and you might be able to hit those numbers, but can you consistently do that year in, year out? Because the ultimate goal, really, when we boil it down, and why people train is they want to be healthy. Yeah, they want to have good bone density. They want to have good aesthetics. They want to have a good overall energy. They want to think positively. They want to have a long lifespan. So all of these things are really, really important. But for the most part, people are working against that by doing too much intensity. And there's a guy, Brian Johnson, I've come across recently online, and he says optimizing the strength training is super, super important for longevity. People do far too much training and far too much stressful training, which is actually shortening the lifespan. So again, feeds into the minimal effective dose training. Okay, so it can come from quite an unhealthy place, and we see this a lot with endurance athletes. Actually, it's like when you boil down to the true reason why they train, it's never, oh yeah, I just feel like it. Yeah, just I fancy doing a long duration race. Nope. There's some sort of significance or some sort of wounding that stems from. Either they want to prove something to themselves or prove something to others because of some life experience that they want to grow through, or some traumatic event. And it's great to go and do the become that, but also what about the deep internal work that needs to be done as well? Because otherwise it just becomes another avoidant, numbing tool where all we're doing is chasing the podiums, chasing the significance. And I'm speaking from experience here, so I know this and I see this very, very clearly. So yet again, it's emphasizing the balance. We must, in my opinion, have a physical outlet, yeah, something to get after. It's just beautiful for our human nature and expressing ourselves in that way, and feeds into our health, but only if we do it in the appropriate way, where it's not chronic overtraining. We're going into training sessions beating ourselves up, becoming sore from it. No, that's self-battery. The opposite of that is self-love, where actually you are constructing this beautiful human body and physique in numerous ways, and then the race or the races is a display of all the work that you've done behind the scenes for many months, many years, and you look the part, you feel the part, people notice it in you, and then you get the results in the external environment, whether that's position or podiums or whatever, or times. So just saying like optimize. I'm saying do less. We're saying optimize, and this is what we do with all other guys. And when we optimize, they actually get far better results in significantly less time. And not only that, they sustain it and continue to build on it. But there's also a portion of people, we've been speaking about this on social media, is it can get to a point where people actually self-sabotage. And the reason they self-sabotage is because it's like, holy shit, I've never been this successful in my life, so I'm going to sabotage myself by putting complexities of life in, or casting blame on a particular system or a particular person or something, because that's easier than actually taking ownership and facing the stuff, your trauma, the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. So I also want people to understand that. And that's why I've been on the journey that I'm on. Mitch has been on the journey that he's been on. And we've not been as committed into the OCR scene, because it's like we realize to progress, it is not just about how much you can run into the pain cave, races you can do. Actually, it's about how deep can we look within, how much compassion can we have, how much presence can we have, yeah, and how can we really improve ourselves internally to transform our outer world and be more optimized and balanced in all these other areas. And it's all possible. So, yeah, question while you're doing 30 races a year, you probably don't need to do 30 races a year.
You do. I think you got to do 60, if I'm honest. If you're not doing 60, you're weak.
I regularly speak to people. As like a recent conversation I had. So, bearing in mind it is November time, I had this conversation. I was like, "So, you must be at the end of your season by now." I'm like, "Nah, I've got 14 more races left." I'm like, "Oh, fuck, what are you doing? I don't even do that in a year." So,
Wow.
but yeah,
Sorry, carry on.
yeah. But I think this is emphasizing the points. It's like, do this to construct yourself. Don't do this with the excuse of, oh, I like to travel and I like to race and I like the community and all this. It's like, yeah, so do I. But we don't do it to the point where we're tearing ourselves down and we're like, oh, I've got this niggle. Oh, I've got this niggle. Oh, I'm injured. Oh, I'm not getting the race results. Why? Things are out of whack.
I think one of the reasons as well why we don't do as many races anymore is, one, we've gone through that experience, but we've also experienced what it's like to absolutely thrash yourself. Like, if you want a true thrashing, go infantry, join the military. Like, if you want to know what it's like to thrash yourself, to thrash your body on a consistent basis, go to the army, because that's what happens in the sessions, because that's how you have to be trained to survive due to the scenarios that you might experience throughout your career. Whereas now, when you look at it, we've been more successful by having structure and balance within our training sessions, and then having specific events. That doesn't mean we're not going to go and do events. It means we're being more strategic on what we do and how and where we want to go, because we know we can handle the physical stuff. But one thing, especially over this past year, I've realized is sitting with yourself. And this is why I'm intrigued by the monks at the moment. I've been looking into them, is sitting there and just being, like, even looking around, like, just sit there, stillness, no phones, no TV, no music, nothing like that. You just sit and close your eyes. Your mind may race, okay? However, you can learn quite a bit of yourself. I've noticed I become fidgety quite quickly. I need to be constantly doing something. And that's came back from past programming, constantly chasing more and more and more. And it burnt me out, constantly given to so much. And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I putting myself through it? Whereas if I, and what I'm working on is finding that balance so that I can become stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, like mastering those three elements to really tune into who you are and how you perform and how you and how you give to the life that you have. Like, we can create fantastic lives for ourselves, and we can be healthy, we can be strong. But what happens is when we are constantly racing, like, pressure's good, you need pressure because it keeps you driving forward. But if you are constantly in fight and flight, you're not going to perform to where you actually can, if that makes sense. And the nervous system gives us signs, it gives us signals. Okay, and if you want to know more, I'm happy to talk about the nervous system because I'm fascinated by how it really works and how we perform and what affects it as well in this modern world.
Yeah, some really great points there. And talking about stress, like everything is stress. We have too little of something, that's stress on the body. We have too much of it. But too much stress, yeah, chronic stress, which can be made up of numerous acute stresses, such as your notifications going off on your watch or your phone every 2 minutes, or I don't know, a child or a relationship, or it could be you're in the gym and there's noise, or there's roadworks, or you're sitting in traffic, or you're training too much and you're battering yourself in that, or you're staying up too late and digital stimulation after dark, or you're eating too late. All of these little things are causing some form of stress, and it doesn't mean it's bad. Like Mitch just said, we need stress. Stress is good. Without stress in the right dose, actually, that doesn't stress the body enough. Want to create change. Think of it in terms of a muscle. You work a muscle, you want just enough stress to make sure that you can create an adaptation. You break it down, and then days afterwards you build it up. If there's too much stress because you've done, I don't know, 8 sets of bicep curls when actually you probably could have done one or two, yeah, it'd probably take you 10 days to recover from that, versus actually 3 days later you could be back in the ground. So optimizing the stress. But what they've seen time and time again is a reduced lifespan comes from too much stress. Yeah, and if you look at the blue zones around the world, very, very low stress lifestyles. They don't make a lot of decisions in the day, so it feeds into what the monks do. What Mitch was just talking about, having that presence, having that stillness, being in nature. And we all have opportunity for that. It's funny actually, as you're talking about that, it made me think of the military again. It's like, remember in Afghanistan, like some of the sentry duties would be 10 hours long. I remember what I was doing on them. I was just like observing. I was like, this is shit. When do I get off? I'm hungry. I want to do this and that. And it's like, well, actually, imagine spending those 10 hours a day for actually thinking positively and, yeah, looking within a little bit and processing some stuff. But that comes down to awareness and knowing. So we can utilize the time that we currently have to maximize and optimize our life. So this isn't about doing more. Actually, what we're urging you to do is optimize, to really have a look at all of the pillars of health, have a look at your lifestyle and look at where you can reduce certain things to give a little bit more somewhere else, where you can look at maintaining a particular area to be consistent over the long term. So there's lots to it, but everything, like we stated, is a practice. I don't really fancy going sitting on a hill like a monk for the next 10 years to get spiritually enlightened. I feel like there's other modalities that we can use that are beneficial, but each to your own. Much like we're saying, hey, well, we want to focus on this and this, not just OCR. Great. Like, you've got to follow that intuition, that inner knowing where you feel called and pulled to. And many of us have this, but we get distracted. And before we know it, a week has passed by, a month has passed by, 3 months have passed by, a year, 5 years. And it's really fascinating. I don't say this to like be negative, but this gym that I'm in now has been open a year, pretty much to the day now. And people that joined a year ago, I'd say the majority are exactly the same shape. So there is taking action, but not really taking action. It's kind of like you're being passive within the experience. We've seen many people do it with our coaching as well. You sign up to a coaching program, it's like, easy. Don't need to do anything. I've paid for coaching now. I just follow the program. It's like, no. What are you actually doing when you go home? How are you sleeping? How are you eating? How are you thinking? What are your relationships like? And yeah, everything that goes around that. So yeah, we're trying to get everything in the optimal place so you guys can be successful here, and that is body and mind entwined. So, I mean, there's tons we can go on to here, but I want to talk about really this period of time. The days are shorter, they are darker, they are wetter, and it's been freezing here on certain days. And like you said, you have to get out with a dog. I'm fortunate I got this really good gym and don't have a dog, so I can like hop on the treadmill if there's like wind that wants to take your fingers off because it's that freezing. But yet again, it's like, what is going to allow me to show up in the best possible way? Now, there's been weeks where I've met a group of people on my Sunday long run. We go for a run in the woods for 90 minutes, and then we do some OCR stuff afterwards. Past 2 weeks, 2 weeks ago, weather was really poor, so we opted to go and run on the treadmill. Yesterday, I couldn't go for a run in the woods, and it didn't actually make sense because I want to do a double session. So actually, it made sense yet again, although not a favourite decision, to hop on the treadmill and do another treadmill session, which is boring, but that's also part of it. I didn't think, oh, this is really shit, I'm going to have to run for almost 2 hours today on a treadmill. I looked at it like, okay, great, I can consistently hit zone 2 and stay within that to really build my aerobic base. 2, I can do it a slow, enjoyable run whilst listening to music or watching something. 3, I got 800 meters of elevation in as well, which is pretty fucking good for an hour and a half session. And then I had all the exercise equipment and stations. So yes, I didn't have the access to the trails and running in specific OCR conditions. Yes, I didn't have access to the obstacle course where I can do specific training, but what I did have is other tools that I utilized. And this is really what we're talking about with the overall mindset, rather than disqualifying and saying, well, I can't do this, so I'm not going to do that instead, because that's a bit of an excuse. But also, when we're looking at that, there are genuine excuses, like, oh, actually, I really can't do this today. And then there's the internal excuses where actually we're not doing something because we're burned out. And the reason we're burned out is because of our overall energy and output. And that's all to do with the other stuff in life. Yet again, stress is too high, then we're not going to be consistent because we're not compliant with the training. So it goes back onto the enjoyment. Okay, what's the minimal effective dose? What is going to be enjoyable? If I look outside and there's sideways rain and it's fucking freezing, I don't want to go out in that. Right? Will I? Yeah, we went for a run, I don't know, 3-4 weeks ago. Was out for 2.5 hours and we were absolutely piss wrapped, but we did
That
it and it was
was
fine.
a nightmare. Like, you kind of have to express gratitude for the little things that you do have when you are training. Like, living in a van, and this time of year is, I wouldn't say challenging because of the dark, because of the weather, or because it gets dark. It's more the fact that when everything's wet and muddy and you've just finished a long run, it can take ages to get things dry as well. Whereas if you've got your home, right, you can go back to, I want to say, not more comfort, but you've got resources that are easier to help you dry stuff. In a van, it's different. You have to find new methods, new ways. And that's one of the reasons why I've put off my long runs for so long. Because every time I've either moved the day to go do them, or the day's come, it's pissed it down. And I'm like, I do not want to be sat in my van, kit everywhere, drying, with a dog. Like, he's drying. It's carnage. But those things can help you, but it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable, and getting past that barrier. Winter is the time of uncomfortable. It's an uncomfortable season, but you can enjoy it and make the most of it. Like, you really can, and you can get benefits from it as well.
Yeah, it's all to do with how we apply ourselves and what's going on in life. A note I've written is talking really about the seasons and how we are cyclical beings of this planet. And what we try and do is constantly push forward and onwards when actually the environment is saying shorter days, less light, which means more rest. Yeah. But we take this to the opposite extreme where it was funny actually. It was at a beach in Wales, this beautiful beach, turquoise water, not a person on it. Why? Because it's autumn. I guarantee in the summer you probably wouldn't even be able to find a place on it. So it's like it's the extremes. It's warm outside, so we're going to get out and we're going to get sunburnt and we're going to spend all day in nature. But then also we're going to stay up late and probably drink alcohol and then batter ourselves in training. So it's like we want to optimize that. But now it's winter. People are like, oh, I'm starting to feel unwell. Why are you feeling unwell? Less sunlight, less time outdoors, more time eating crap around people that aren't too health conscious. So actually at these opposite ends of the year, this calls for more optimization. Like we want to be getting the sunlight. I mean, you can see the sun on the side of my face. The sun's broken through the dark clouds. And much like yesterday and the day before, I just was walking with my son. I was like, come on, let's go outside for a few minutes and just get some sunlight on our body. It was cold, but we were just in t-shirts. So this is how we build our energy. Like we're not getting enough light, we're not getting in contact with the earth, we're not getting enough fresh air, we're probably not getting the cold exposure that we need, we're not soaking up these negative ions from the atmosphere. And actually what we're doing is the complete opposite to the complete extreme, and then wondering why we're not like particularly. And I noticed something a few weeks ago, actually, when it started to get darker. I was like, I felt quite like sluggish. Sleep was good, nutrition was good. I was like, I'm not getting enough light. So I actually supplemented with some vitamin D and then made more of an effort to spend more time outside. Lo and behold, my energy picked up. I felt better. So it can help with our overall sense of well-being. A lot of people go, well, yeah, I think this seasonal affective disorder is a bit of a farce and whatever else. No, it's a real thing. And actually, like if you look in certain areas of the world that don't get a lot of light, Scandinavian countries, parts of Russia, they actually have the worst mental health conditions and highest rates of suicide because they're not out in the elements. And some of that is difficult because of the weather conditions. But then on top of that, they probably don't make an effort, and maybe that comes down to awareness, education, or whatever else. So it really, really does have an effect on us. So the more we align with nature, the more we align with our primitive human nature, the healthier and happier we're actually gonna be. But that's not about going back to the caves and getting rid of your TV and whatever else. It's like, no, we have all of that. We just shield ourselves and protect ourselves from that to make sure we get good food, good sleep. So we can really optimize our lifestyle.
And this season is known as a season where everyone becomes ill. Everyone starts getting flus. And obviously when you become ill and you're fighting off infections, you've got a weak immune system. Now, why is your immune system weak? Again, Matt's already mentioned you're probably not eating the best quality food. You're not getting outside, so you are spending time in heat because it's cold. And then you'll leave the office, you'll probably walk to your car, and then you'll get home and then you're inside again. So you've been sat down all day. So then you haven't been moving as well. And then you've basically stayed comfortable to the point where your body hasn't done what it needs to do. Like our bodies were made to thrive. And when we are eating good quality nutrition, when we are getting movement in, when we are getting good quality sleep, when we are spending time with loved ones and having connection, which is real connection, not just texting, hey, like you thrive. Like even in the winter season, myself and a few of the dog walkers, we were out, I think it was last Friday. It pissed it down all day and we were all there. We were drenched, but we were like, this is it. And we had to remember that walk isn't for us. It's for our dogs because they need walking no matter what the conditions they are. And we were watching people, and over the few days when we met up again on Monday, people were becoming sick. They were ill. And we were like, well, I feel great. You feel great. You feel like we all felt fine. None of us were ill. None of us had the flu. And we were outside. We were in the wet. We were in the cold. And that will help you, one, strengthen your immunity, two, strengthen your mindset and your resilience, change the way you look at the elements, because it can actually be quite fun. Everyone listening to this was a kid at some point. What did you used to do when your mum said no and it's in the rain? You'd ignore her, you'd get outside, you'd jump through the puddles, you'd crawl through the mud, you'd drink through a hose, you would love it. And there was no care in the world. Why has that changed now that we've become adults? It shouldn't have. Fucking go and jump in the mud, go run around in the rain, dance in the rain, embrace it. Yes, it may be uncomfortable, but you are expressing yourself freely and expressing that inner child that's been dying to come out for so long.
Rather than just using the obstacle course and race day to go and express that when you actually have the opportunity, especially those people that have kids anyway, you can actually go and do this every day on a weekly basis. I think this is all part of it, because it's like being told no that eventually makes people not express themselves, not be creative, which shuts that down. So by the time people come our age, they're like, can I do this? Am I allowed? And then they find OCR and it's like, oh, I can. But then they're still not expressing themselves fully in other aspects of their life. It's like, But entirely like immunity, like it's so funny. The amount of times I've heard is like, the cold makes you cold, or the cold gives you a cold. It's like, no, it doesn't actually. It's the sugary crap that we all tend to eat, the lack of sunlight, and being in close proximity to other people, and not being in the fresh air. It's really interesting. I was journaling on this the other day, doing a little bit of research on sauna. It's like, you can be sat in a sauna with 10, 15 other people, very close proximity. Yeah, but because I sauna almost daily, that's detoxing me and creating stress on my body to help me with immunity. So although there might be people coughing and there might be germs in there, I haven't been ill. So it's all about the correct amount of dose. Clearly, if you're absolutely hammering yourself and creating too much stress, but it's about balance and exposure. We need a little bit of stress in each of these areas to allow us to build a immunity and to adapt and to become more strong in that particular area and resilient as such.
Yeah, and the more we open our eyes as well, because there'll be some people listening to this back going, oh, you're wrong, you're wrong. No,
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Yeah, rather than just continuously repeating patterns when you know that what you're currently doing isn't working for you, yet you still do it, just blindly following on and repeating that for weeks, months, years. I'll give a little bit more context when we're talking about like the immunity as well. This is part of what I was reading up on, because I was like, well, why don't I get ill? I'm sat around all these people. Well, a lot of it's to do with lifestyle. I'm exposed to the same pathogens and the things that could potentially make me ill as everyone else. I'm sat in a public space right now. I'm touching the same things. Yeah, I'll be honest. Today, this isn't like the most frequent thing, especially with chemical soaps. So I'll just use water a lot of the time. Yeah, but my immunity is good because I'm in a low toxic state. Therefore, that helps, and my immunity is in a good place. I'm still having the same exposure, but my body is not reacting in the way that someone else's would if they hadn't built their immunity. It's much like we were just talking about, like the muscle building. Yeah, you do things in an appropriate way, you get an appropriate outcome. So, I mean, with this, there's a lot of information and ins and outs we can go into, but really a question to pause and ponder on. And there's really 2 points. And you could create a list. You could just draw a line down the middle of the page, plus and minuses. But what drains my energy, or what is draining my energy, and what builds my energy, or what is building my energy. And go through a list. And it's always good to start with the negative ones, because we can go off on a bit of a tangent. But then what we can do with that is go, okay, well, what is the positive reframe or the polar opposite of this negative? Okay, I'm feeling really lethargic at the moment. All right, I ate like crap yesterday. Okay, so what's the opposite of that? Okay, don't eat that really high carb meal at that particular time. Eat something that's more nourishing. Yeah, and see how that feeds your energy. What drains my energy? Oh, I have to get up early. Okay, well, I have to do that for work commitments and training. What can I do? I'll go to bed at a reasonable time. I won't spend hours doom scrolling or watching stuff online. So it helps us find solutions within our routine to navigate them. All right, and this isn't about perfection. It's about optimizing in a particular area. And like we said at the beginning, it's like what's really going to move the needle. And 2 things that will really move the needle. And like I was just saying about people in this gym environment, most of them been training consistently for a year. Have they achieved the body composition changes they wanted? No. A lot of people still look the same, whether that's overweight or scrawny or same amount of muscle mass. Why? Because they're not optimizing their sleep, stress is too high, and the nutrition is incorrect for them as individuals. And these are all things that can be found out. And once they're found out, based on the individual, you can get great results in a very short amount of time. Yeah, we find 3 to 4 months, people are in a really, really good place with the changes, which in the grand scheme of things is far faster than doing something that isn't working and reinforcing that failure over and over again for many, many years. So, what builds my energy and what drains my energy? And that will be a great list exercise to help you start navigating that. Okay, changes is always happening, should be happening. You should be gaining ground and progressing. But if you're not within a matter of weeks to a few months, then what you're doing isn't effective. But on top of that, the higher you rise, essentially the thinner the oxygen, which means in another way is like the more you've been training, the harder it can be to get those gains. But at the same time, I've been training quite a long time, inclusive of my military career, but I increase muscle mass every single week in a very, very small way. So yes, you get beginners gains, but you also get continuous gains on top of that when you do things appropriately. And that's what we want to be seeing. It's like as we age, there can be a decline, but actually if you do things appropriately, we're pushing back that biological clock. Yeah, and bone density, balance, muscle mass, low body fat percentage are all key markers for longevity and good quality of life. Anything else to add? Cool. So I think whatever excuse comes up, and I don't mean like excuse like, oh, you're making excuses. It's like whatever comes up, whatever pops into your mind when it comes into training or barriers or obstacles you've got. See that as the path. Don't just see, okay, here's the obstacle, here's the barrier. I'm going to wait at the bottom of this 8 foot wall and someone will come and save me. They're not going to lift you over. Yeah, you get to the multi-rig, no one's going to lift you over. You navigate it, all right. And whether that's you fall off and you take the penalty loop, there's still action you've taken. Okay, so we're taking appropriate action. We're optimizing in all these different areas. We're prioritizing the thing that's going to move the needle the most. And when we do all of this and we plan ahead, actually we have enjoyment for what we're doing. And the more enjoyment we have within the process, the more consistent we're going to be. And the more consistent we're going to be, the more we're going to progress over the long term. And this is a journey. And what we're suggesting is actually the fastest way to progress versus really trying to move the needle over the next year, probably breaking down somewhere and then beating yourself up, thinking you're weak and failing, and then actually not gaining as much ground as you want. And then you pick that up 3 months later and then you repeat the process over and over. Yeah. Small, consistent changes over time lead to big results and then build on that. And this is the beauty of habit formation. Once a habit is formed, it becomes automated, which means it's second nature. Think about when you drive a car. You first start driving a car, you're really useless and you're trying to worry about your feet and the gear and the steering and direction and the mirrors and all these things. Now you just hop in a vehicle and you're like, second nature. Why? Repetition, repetition, repetition. Time. Same as a child. You don't look at your child and it's like, my child's never going to walk. It's like, no, they start to sliver. Then they get onto their knees and then they stumble and they walk and then they run and they fall down a lot in between that. But one day they start running and they keep going and they grow and they get faster. So don't damn yourselves within this particular process. The amount of stuff that you've overcome in your life already is exactly the same. It's just in a different form and a different challenge. So really look into that. So whatever obstacle is in the way, that is the way. If it's, oh, it's cold and raining outside, like Mitch said, hat and gloves on, great, go. All right, if the weather's that bad, all right, I feel more inclined to get on the treadmill, do that instead. Yeah. Pain, problem, find the solution. Okay. And often within that as well, it might be doing nothing. Okay. And this is what one of the guys said to me the other day. It's like, oh, I've got this niggle and got this going on. This is someone that's about to start a program with us. And they were like, what should I do? Like, I want to make sure I'm in a good place before we commence training. I was like, do nothing. Do nothing. So sometimes that's the best thing. And like we've spoken about in our training, full central nervous system reset. I've recently done a coaching call on deloading, tapering, and previously we've done an episode on the actual off season. Yeah, so it's not all as about the doing. It can be about the being and the presence. Like Mitch was talking about, monk on the hillside. You have approval to be that person. You have approval to be the savage OCR athlete, the most well-rounded man or woman in your lifestyle, the best in business, the best in your career, if you choose it by not overwhelming yourself and complicating the system. Keep everything simple, apply the minimal effective dose, and have some fun with what you're doing and reap some great rewards and results. For sure, for sure. Last thing I want to mention is motivation. This is a big one. I'm not motivated. Really, what it says is I don't have the energy right now, and whether that's mentally or physically, and that's because something is not working in the way that it should be. Something's not optimized within the lifestyle, which means there's too much stress. So motivation is great if you're watching a motivational video or you're just listening to this podcast and feeling super pumped and motivated. Great, that can get you out the door. That may get you started, but actually, really optimizing, habit building allows us to progress. And then, really, in time, when we start to see progress, that makes us happy. Yeah, and then that discipline turns into the shape of the person that you want to be. Okay, so our end there. Anything final you want to add, Mitch? But but what if it fits my macros? Yeah, and this is it. Like, this is something that is not widely known, but the reason this is not widely known is because if you think about our personal training and nutrition courses, and I see many people that have also gone through it and apply it, the problem is the information is skewed. It's flawed on so many different levels. It is very, very high sugar, the nutritional approach that trainers, nutritionists tell people, but actually that is contributing to ill health, which is rife at the moment, and people being overweight, and also alcohol. Just don't touch alcohol. Like, if you care anything about your health on a mental, physical, spiritual level, do not touch alcohol. Do not get intoxicated. But what Mitch is talking about, like, if you just completely pull the pin and do what you want over the Christmas period, I mean, it doesn't mean don't enjoy yourself. We want you to enjoy yourself. But if you just let loose and you drink and you're eating crap every day, you will unwind everything. And that's not because of all the stuff we've been talking about with like the habits. It actually changes you like on a biological level. Like your microbiome will change based on that. And I don't know if I've spoke about stories about it, but on the podcast yet, but what we eat and how we live influences the microbes in our gut. And then there's a nerve that connects our gut to our brain, and the microbes essentially send messages to our brain, and this can happen with cravings. So if you're eating crap food, not only do you destroy your body, you change your microbiome, which makes you crave certain foods which are crap. So it makes it even more harder. So you don't just unwind the habit, you unwind all the benefits that your body has gained. And that's why it can be really, really hard to regain momentum. Maybe we'll talk about the process that we use for our guys to regain momentum if they happen to fall off for a period of time. And often it's not what we think, but we'll go into that on another podcast episode. But just be mindful. We're gonna eat stuff. Like yesterday I had some ice cream and some brownie. I'm not sat here like, oh, everything's ruined and I'm beating myself up. It's like, so what? It was nice, great, move on. Yeah, I eat well 99% of the time. Okay, but this is also the thing as well. Like, nutritious food doesn't have to be boring. Yeah, we eat delicious food every day that we look forward to eating. Yeah, and yet again, talking about priorities, instead of spending 6 or 7 days in the gym malleting yourself, why not do 2 or 3 days in there, structured strength training, move your body a little bit more, and optimize your sleep and your nutrition and see what that puts you in 3 months. Yeah, and a big thing for OCR athletes is they're too heavy. That's why they can't complete the rigs. That's why they can't get over the walls. Why? Power to weight ratios out of whack, because the lifestyle's been out of whack for so long. We could talk about this stuff all day, but we'll cap it there. But yeah, if something's not working in the way that you want, look at the lifestyle. Look at the influences on the body. Inputs equate to outputs. The output is not where you want it. Look at the inputs. And when you do that, change happens. It's the way it works. Actually, I'm AI. I've been created years ago. I'm from the future. And I come back in time. Yeah. Just for the skeptics, I just wanted to clarify that just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. Um, but this is it. Like, think about in the embodiment and also the information that we've just shared. Like, if stuff's not been working for you and isn't working for you, and you don't see that it is going to work for you in the future, we recommend that you look at this advice. And one of the most powerful bits of advice I've always lived by is, if somebody is just talking the talk and not walking the walk, would you take advice from them? Yeah. I don't, when I look for coaching, I don't go, All right, I want to get the physique of an Adonis. I'm going to go to the local personal trainer that's 50 pounds overweight. Yeah, if I want a business coach, I don't go to someone that is broke or not in my field of expertise. Yeah, we all need help and assistance, but that would be the advice. Look for someone that's embodying that, not just talking about it, but actually embodying it. And this is what we do here at Primal, and we're continuing to improve on, and that's through our own individual journeys and becoming more whole and complete in numerous aspects, not just with the physicality, but embodying that. Yeah, and going into the pain cave, and really for the reason of personal and self development and growth, but also to share this information with other people. Like, over the next 10 years, do you just want to be the best OCR athlete? Or do you want to see over the next 10 years that you are the most well rounded and grounded and present and happy individual that feels great when they wake up in the morning? And you can have all of this. It really is just a case of optimizing it. But nothing changes if nothing changes. But onside that, change is happening. Go with the flow, resist it. Yeah, we all have this inner knowing and this inner calling, and we're called to be greater and better ourselves. So allow that in to happen. It reduce the resistance. Be conscious and aware of anything that is a self-destructive pattern that's getting in your way, and be open-minded. Question everything that we're saying. Okay, but like I said, don't take advice from people that aren't living and breathing it. And even question us. All right, come and live with me for a week. And it's funny, when Jimmy came over a few years ago, he's like, "Holy shit, Matt is the real deal." Like, he literally lives on the floor, and he just like, it's funny. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you can see the social media thing. And it's like, oh, I don't share half the stuff I do with my life, but here's an invite, and come live with me for a week, and I'll show you how to live. For sure. Mm. And another question to really pose to ourselves and one another, if you're witnessing someone do something in particular, is like, instead of judging a person for their actions, think a little bit deeper. Like, why is this person choosing to do this with their life right now? What is this giving to them? What is this showing them? What is this teaching them? And that will give a different perspective, rather than going, "Oh, why would you do that?" Or, "Why is this person saying this?" Or, "Why is this person doing this?" Be open-minded enough to think that maybe they see things from a different perspective, and a perspective that we haven't seen in ourselves, rather than being closed-minded and shutting things down. Okay, it's one of the most powerful things we can do, but often most of us don't have time to even sit and reflect. Yeah, but yet again, if you're prioritizing training and things are out of whack, maybe reduce that training, optimize it, so actually you can think. Or when you go for your run, be with your own thoughts instead of listening to something on, I don't know, Spotify or something like that. Maybe we'll chat about it some more, but I'm chatting to the guys on the group coaching call about this embodiment piece, which we're talking about, because I've been going a lot more into my goals, and it's not me and Matt are going to do a call on A, B, and C races and planning the year ahead, but this is purely only talking about like racing and physicality. The other ones for embodiment are different pillars of health. Yeah, your lifestyle, what you create in legacy, all this sort of stuff. So maybe we'll share that at some point. But for a lot of people that listen to this, they're really just interested right now in improving the physicality and getting race results. But just stuff we're doing behind the scenes to become these fully optimized human beings that are striving for excellence. Nice one. All right. Been a pleasure. Been a bit of a ranty one, but yeah, and I feel like this is probably one of the only platforms where we can actually do that truthfully, authentically, without algorithms shutting down the truth anyway. So, yeah, if you've made it this far, you're probably part of a very small percentage of people that actually have an attention span to listen to conversations for this long. But the last thing is, what are you going to do with this information? Okay, like we do in our coaching calls, what's one important, powerful, and impactful thing that you can take away from this conversation that you can carry into your life and integrate it? Because it's going to be far better than you trying to apply everything we've spoken about. So we're in there. Cheers, Mitch. Have a beautiful day. Have a good walk, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Bye.
That is it for today's episode of the Obstacle Dominator podcast. Thank you for listening. If you've gained value from this episode or any others, all we simply ask is you share that with one other person. This one simple share could be the breakthrough that they need to get unstuck and start making progress again, and support more athletes to become healthier, happier, stronger, and faster human beings. If you feel called, please leave a review, tap the stars, give us a rating, head over to YouTube and subscribe, or just simply follow the show. These simple action steps go such a long way in helping us reach more athletes over time, and we'd love for you to be part of that. Proximity is power. If you are an athlete that's ready to take your performance up a level, then join us over on the OCR School. This is a community where you can surround yourself with the right people as you learn and as you rise. Learn from athletes who are not just talking the talk, but walking the walk, getting results, body and mind, everyone from first-time finishers to podium winners and champions. Until next time, keep training hard, keep living prepared, and keep dominating the obstacles in life and in competition.